and we're going to go into the game now. So we'll go through the ban phase. So guys, it's going to be Wind and Rain versus Vexed. Take it away.
So let's move into our bans for the first clubhouse of the season. This was one of the most heavily played maps we had last season, up there with the likes of Oregon as well. There's a lot of teams that can play clubhouse. When we talk about, oh yeah, it's the new remodeled version, it's just clubhouse at this stage. There's no new remodel. Like, sometimes you can't even really remember what the old one used to look like.
No, not at all. You know, the changes that came with it did increase the ability to roam on this map, and it just made a lot of sites a lot more viable. The only one that was, I think, significantly changed in the opposite direction was probably Bar and Stock, that we don't really see too much of anymore. But no real surprises coming in the ban phase. The standard Mirror Echo ban again. We've seen Echo again favoured over Maestro there. Maverick is a common one. It's probably his most useful map, really. Is getting onto those hatches, opening them up, and even potentially the silent entry into Dirt Tunnel that we see quite often as well. So Maverick taken off the board, no surprise there. We're going to see Wind and Rain coming on the attack first of all, and they will be attacking a Church and Arsenal location. So Vexed opting to go straight downstairs to the, I think probably, what's considered the strongest defender site. The sites that we tend to see attackers picking up are Cache and the bedroom site, the top floor sites, where you tend to have a bit of a battle over garage, and whoever wins that comes out with the round. But Church Arsenal, Wind and Rain are going to have to do something here. It's Vexed to lose, really.
Yeah, looking at the bomb site for basement, it still fits into the similar way that the old clubhouse used to play, where it was very 5-man turtle on site. What happens, bloodbath in the end. Looking at those top floor bomb sites, yes, they have more of an early game and a mid game fight for the garage area, for the construction area. A lot of different routes that the attackers have options. For the attackers in this particular bomb site, it's a lot more linear. It's a lot more one way. Step 1, open up the hatches. Step 2, start ripping up kitchen. Step 3, try and get some picks, and then finally go for the plant. It's very simple in how you play the basement. So it comes down to how well the defenders can cope and really struggle with all the utility tools that Wind and Rain have. They have the Buck, they have the Glass, more importantly, an operator which did sneak his way through the ban phase. Instead, Ying was the operator of choice that Wind and Rain decided to get rid of. There's a lot of options here for Wind and Rain. I'm liking their mixture of aggressiveness and also the support style that they have. And if they get Glass pushing down construction or potentially down blue, that's terrifying for players of Vexed.
Yeah, we've got both Feral and Jesus on the roam. We've got the Caveira play coming out. Feral is going to move out and get a cheap kill early onto his. That's going to take the Ash off the board, but it will cost him his life. So great comms there, just to call out the location of the Vigil. And that is a roamer off the board early on. They have lost the aggression of Ash, but I'm not sure that that is the worst trade in the world for Wind and Rain. Getting that early roamer off the board. If they can clear Jesus out, they need to recognise that he's there. They need to be drawn in him, working as at least a pair to take this Caveira down. They've then got 3 men on site, a man advantage, and they can start to really use that time. This is going to come down to how quickly they can deal with, first of all, find and then deal with this Caveira. Q will come out and get the kill onto Zach as well, so that takes it even more in favour. No surprise to see the power of that Glass being utilised so soon.
Bit of a late rotate there from Vexed. I don't really agree with that decision. You've already lost 1 man. They have great pushing power. They still have Buck alive as well. They have plenty of drones available. But it has delayed a little bit of time. There's half the round still to go. We haven't seen Vexed get in position where he can start opening up the flooring. And still, hatches are not opened yet. They have only the Thermite, no Habana being chosen. So they, of course, have the construction open, but what else do they choose? They can either go for kitchen, you have the blue, or you also have that bar. More than likely, it's going to be the blue, which you can see them gathering around that, so they kind of have a split push coming in. But not having that kitchen hatch open is going to be the big thing for Vex leading into the final minute.
Vexed now just holding on at this point. I think Jesus is still out on the roam. That leaves only 2 on site. They do have the ACOG of Doc, but Wind and Rain now able to get Q into Dirt Tunnel on the glass, which we know he can be so dangerous from. Jesus is going to be moving back into blue. He does have a Wind and Rain player ahead of him on the far side of the boilers. Is he going to get the kill? He's in silent step. He will get the down now. Does he go? No, he doesn't. And Q will get the kill on the glass. So that's another great refrag from Wind and Rain there. And I have to say, looking extremely organised so far. That's 2 good kills potentially from the roamers of Jesus and Feral, but they've just been nullified straight away. Q with his 3rd of the round, and that is showing the power of the glass. Harris moving in with the final kill onto Dumpling. Now, I like what I see from Wind and Rain there. Yes, the roamers have managed to get the kills, but Wind and Rain have got the call-outs out quickly, and they've been sort of refragged straight away, which has worked perfectly for them. They've taken advantage of the lack of a glass ban, got him into Dirt Tunnel, and then just allowed him to set up that crossfire. He got the kill back onto Caveira, allowed him to move into sight. Very good play from Q to pick up 3 in the first round, and that will be 1-0 in favour of Wind and Rain, and a very promising start.
Yeah, so that goes to show how strong Glass can be on a map like Clubhouse. There is one operator that Vex could have chosen that probably would have single-handedly won them that round, and it would have been a Pulse. Pulse in that bomb site, I say it time and time again, is one of the strongest operators you can choose. You provide so much intel. You can pulse all of the kitchen, you can pulse all of the main stairs, some of it even in towards the bar, and more importantly, you can see who is inside that dirt tunnel. You can see if there's only 1 heartbeat or if there's 2. If there's 2, you know you can rotate men over to try and heavily fortify. That's where the main push is going to try and come in for, and plus you also have a C4 you can lob just right into dirt and possibly pick up those 2 kills. Certainly I think Pulse is the operator that Vex needed. I don't think Caveira in any way was needed for that particular defense. It's Vex, yes, we know they like their odd picks, these aggressive plays. They play as freely as they want. I'm sure it's probably, hey, Feral, can I pick Caveira? Okay. That's their comps.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there, Demo. And as much as
sorry, I forgot to do a Swedish accent for Jesus there.
I don't think trying that's a great idea, Demo.
Well, thanks for that. That really helps the confidence.
So yeah, I think, well, as you say there, the Pulse maybe just would have been able to nullify the threat of that glass moving in through Dirt Tunnel. Would certainly have allowed to challenge him in a sort of a safer, more controlled manner. But that round's done. They now have to focus on the task at hand, which is going to be holding cash. They're going to need to defend Garage quite heavily. I think we can see already that we've got Sledge and Glaz moving over to that side, although Sledge looks like he's up on the roof and might just head for the windows or even possibly logistics hatch to open and push from that side. I always like to see a bit of pressure applied from the bedroom side on this site. So often the entire focus of the attack is on that double wall in Garage, and whilst it does pay dividends, the frag just taking some damage off Jesus there. Meanwhile, Zek gets the kill onto Hayes, and that will be the Habana loss, so that could be a big loss. They do still have another hard breach option with Blackout on the Thermite. I think he's opened the double wall. He can get into Garage if he fights his way in. Zach will get the kill onto Blackout, so that leaves us 5 versus 3, and this Wind and Rain attack is just starting to crumble a little bit now.
Zach will start lurking in to try and support the Maestro as well as he can, but they will be up against the OCS and that sniper off the glass. And certainly, whenever Q still has those smoke casters available, and he does become even more of a deadlier threat. Trying to play those long angles once, smoke caster will be placed to see if he can try and peek in, find any yellow spots for himself. He knows that Maestro's there, but that's going to be the backpack, which is not a viable hit registration. Still, you have those evil eyes giving all of this intel through the smoke, and I'm sure a quick peek up from Zach would have been a very deadly arsenal in their hand. Vex also trying to put a bit of pressure in towards those blue stairs. I'm surprised Zach hasn't tried to rotate and possibly try and find this kill, and especially on the Sledge, whenever there's still frag grenades there available, and you can see Pi rotating as well, and really there's not a lot of options here for Wind and Rain, as everything is in control of Vex. Zach will find Vex, and Harris will find Pi. Dumpling straight away with the refrag, eliminates the mighty Glance, and Harris all by himself. A complete slaughterhouse for him. And Vexed will take their first round of the ESL Premiership.
Yep, great plays from Vexed there. They adapted well to what went wrong in the first round. They certainly weren't as aggressive on the roam. I think they recognised early that that was not going to work necessarily, having, you know, lost their 2 roamers straight away after picking up the kills last time. So, yeah, they changed that up. They played a little bit more on site. Wind and Rain, I think, were just a little bit scattered on that one. They had a man at the double wall. They had sort of one Q pushing Garage on his own. They had a couple on bedroom side. You know, I like to see maybe one move from logistics. It's a little bit of a safer drop and then push the way in whilst ADSing through bedroom. I think the risk that you run dropping where they did is you put yourself into a crossfire. You've got windows in construction and you've got windows in cash room, and you've got a bit of a crossfire setup there that is very, very difficult to manage, and they just lost both of them men quite quickly to that. So not too sure on that one. We're going to see Vexed heading back downstairs this time to Church and Arsenal, see if they can do a more thorough job than they did last time. We've got Ferrell on the vigil again, so he's going to be off on the roam. Zach may join him on the Jaeger, but I think we're going to be seeing more of a 3-man hold down on site this time, potentially even 4.
Still no pulse.
Still no pulse.
I would love to see the pulse in this scenario. They have decided to drop the Caviera, which, yes, I agree with. She doesn't really do much because it's a Caviera. She's so good, she's getting nerfed.
She's excellent in gold, Demo. She's excellent in gold, but I don't.
You would know.
I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. That's a burn. I think, you know, once you get to this competitive level, Caviera at that point is going to struggle to have too much of an effect. These lads are drawn in thoroughly. They know exactly where she is at almost all times. Q coming out with an early kill onto Ferrell. So once again, Ferrell dying in the first 30 seconds of the round, and that's the Vigil roam off the board. So again, this is going to give Wind and Rain a bit more just sort of free reign over the map to start doing what they want to do. It's maybe going to force a rotation for a player away from site, leaving only 2 or 3. We're going to see Q just downing himself so that he can get picked up and back onto 50 health. So Ferrell managing to take some hit points off him, but not managing to finish the job. So Vex signature aggression just working against them so far.
Yeah, I think that the OTS can more or so less really outgun these free speeds, because again, you hit 2 shots with your glass, he's downed. That's all it takes is the 2 shots. It's different if you're fighting up against the heavies, where yes, they're going to take a little bit more and then also dish out a little bit more to you as well. And imagine if that was a free armor, for example, then it would have been Ferrell actually winning that gunfight in that scenario. So, you know, there's still things to take away from. So here comes the kind of final beachhead coming in from Wind and Rain. They have cleared the rumors. This is where they start doing all of their prep work. They have their utility still available. They will start opening up the hatches. I'm glad they've learned from their mistakes and have brought the Hibana this time, which is, of course, the right decision, especially on a map like Clubhouse, where there's a lot of things you can open up, not just for this bomb site, but even for the upstairs as well. But they still need to get Vex in and start getting him, get with the bucks. I'm surprised that he's not done that already. Instead, they're going to try and use these frag grenades in more of a clear out the roamers kind of deal, where typically there's people playing in behind that blue. Not going to be the case, as everybody from Vex has fallen back and they will be playing inside of the bomb sites.
No question, I think this is going to end up as one of those rounds that is just a flurry of kills in the last 10-15 seconds. Vexed definitely playing back. Vex will get the kill onto Zach there, just again trying to push that aggression into blue and take the fight to Wind and Rain, but Vex doing extremely well to just let go of that nade and then step back, get into his ADS and get the kill. Jesus will get the kill using that Maestro ACOG, so that will bring us now to 4 versus 3 in favour of Wind and Rain, and pressure is starting to mount as they approach site. The angles have been opened up. Vex getting the kill onto Dumpling. Pi will trade one and Jesus will get another to square things away here at 2 versus 2. Vex holding on very well. There's only 15 seconds left and we are going to be having a rush onto site, but Jesus, I think that's his 3rd of the round now, gets the kill onto Q and swings it for the first time into the favour of Vex. 2 versus 1. Book Vex has it all to do. He's going to move around the corner. He will get the kill onto Jesus. He does have the diffuser and will have to go for the plant. He has no choice and he's going to come unstuck. look as Party knows exactly where he is, knows that he can't get off the diffuser, moves in and gets the knife there. Very good play from Vexed there. They changed things up from what they did in the first round where they lost. They didn't have 2 on the roam, they lost Feral early, but they didn't worry too much about that. They just brought that turtle defense, got themselves locked in, used the Alder of Maestro, which we know is so powerful. Jesus doing the work there, keeping his team in the fight until eventually they got themselves into a man advantage and then just played the site perfectly to take the win. So that will put Vexed 2-1.
So that will leave us in a pretty good position for Vexed. They have the advantage and they still have their defenses as well. We've talked about if the team takes those big advantages, those big long strides, they go up 5 rounds to 1 potentially. That's going to heavily dampen the effectiveness of those defenders then who have to just come off the attacks. But still, it's Siege. Anything can happen. Never say never. Never say die. Yeah,
it certainly can. And, you know, we've seen a lot of positivity from Wind and Rain there. I think, you know, what we've seen there is this is certainly not going to be a run over. They have punished mistakes, and that's one of the important things in Siege. Yes, it is about doing things right, but it's also about making sure you're there when the enemy team does things wrong. And if you can be, you're going to benefit from that, and that's exactly what Wind and Rain have done. Feral has tried to be aggressive in the first couple of plays, and we know that that's something even more on attack that Vexed are going to do. They're going to come in quickly, and they're going to come in hard as well. And that's maybe just making them think twice about that.
Yeah, I think that whenever things do tend to kind of slip up, kind of think, oh, will it work this time? Will it not? What happens if this happens this time? You start to overthink things, and sometimes teams fall into that trap where they overthink their different strategies. They try something different, and that just ends up being a complete disaster. I think that's kind of similar to what we see in a couple of the games last season. I think a big thing to pick on was a team, for example, like Wind and Rain. Not this one, the one that went 0-7. I think they tried to change up their strategies too much. They tried to adapt, but it just didn't work. If they had maybe stuck with just one solitary plan. I think a perfect example is Team Empire in Pro League. They stick with one plan, and they do it well. But then again, they have some of the best fraggers in the world.
Yep, totally agree. I mean, Empire's a team that I know quite well. Cast them for a season of CCS before they went into Pro League, so I've seen plenty of Empire playing, and you're exactly right there. They know what they do well, and they do it repeatedly. And it's so polished, that is why they get results. And you're right there, switching it up too much sometimes just takes that focus away, and players, I think such an important thing in Siege is confidence. Confidence in your gun skill and your mechanical skill, knowing that you can go in and get the kill and get that challenge. That's half of it. The other half is just that confidence in what you're doing, where you fit into the team, where you fit into the plan. And when you're changing that each time, you've then got players coming in not really sure of exactly where they fit, not really sure of exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and it can start to tell. So yeah, I think sometimes just having your focus and thinking, it didn't work this time, so what do we need to tweak in there and do the same again until we do get it right, can be a very valuable thing.
So another point to bring up as well is this is seeming just like the same Vex we've seen last time with these aggressive plays. Sure, they don't have Doki, who was another very big aggressive player. We've kind of seen him more known as that roaming dock figure around so many maps. They don't have him this time. Instead, they have Dumpling, who seems to be more of the support player, more of that anchor. We've seen him playing operators like Smoke. More than likely, we're going to expect to see him get on Thermite whenever he goes over to the attacks. I think that Vexed, they still have the same adaptation that we've seen so many times from last season. But Wind and Rain really hasn't had to make them adapt too much.
No, I think you're right about Vexed. It's, you know, we commented on it coming into the match. It's not too much of a surprise. It's not a team that you know, are playing week in, week out and scrimming and going to other tournaments and you know, they are playing on the fly to a degree at least. So it's not too much of a surprise to see that from them. I think the problem that they've got now is with Doki moving out, this is a team that is used to the roster changing. We saw that. I think we saw 6 or 7 changes over 7 weeks last year, maybe more than that. So it's nothing new to them to see the roster changing and to adapt to that. But again, we saw a lack of consistency in results because of that. And I think at the moment, potentially, it's going to be something that we see again this season. They've lost Doki. They're now having to move somebody into his position. Zach is heading out on the roam. Or, you know, they brought Dumpling in, who's more of a support player. And again, it's just starting to tell a little bit. We've seen 3 rounds there where the roam game has just been completely ineffective. Would that have been the case last season with Doki on the board, with him out on the roam, with that aggression? you know, possibly not. And so that's something, you know, that they are going to have to adapt to. Where are those frags going to come from elsewhere in the team?
We looked and seen that the Gym and Bedroom is going to be the next defense coming in for the players of Vexed. Gym and Bedroom is still the third pick bomb site. There's still Barnstock. Guys, Barnstock's out there.
You just love to see Barnstock.
Go do a strategy for it. Do it. Just do it.
I think Barnstock's one of those that you come out, you pick it in the first round of a random clubhouse match and just nobody expects it, and I think that's where you get the win on there. But yeah, going to be going up to Gym and Bedroom. Not too dissimilar a hold from Cash. You know, you need to be looking at similar areas. The important thing usually, the big difference is hot tub wall getting opened up, and then you've got different angles coming in. So we'll usually see that, but you do see some pressure applied to garage as well, so that you can move through construction and then start to settle your crossfires with the hot tub wall open, and then pick off the defenders in that way.
Yeah, it seems to be that Gym and Bedroom is, for the defenders, you're very congested. There's not a lot of areas to hide. You have that full line of windows going along that front wall right at the main entrance. Also, you have the hatches that you have to worry about. You have that hatch right in the back of office, which could be a potential quick drop down. And there's still operators there like Blitz available for the attackers, which is always a big, scary threat. And we've seen Blitzes in the past in Clubhouse do so well. There's still a lot of options there for the players of Wind and Rain to sit back and look, hey, they're pretty weak to these certain operators. For example, Smoke is a big, or not Smoke, the Glass with the smokes is so big. I'm surprised that they're not bringing other operators to also to use in sync with the Glass. You could bring operators like Jackal, who we know is such a menacing force on Clubhouse with the roam game being so heavy. You also have the side shotgun to do a bit of destructibility, and there's a lot of that in Clubhouse as well. That could be another pick that really Wind and Rain could utilize to their full self for their advantages. Yeah,
potentially, or even, you know, bringing a Monty. We've seen Monty team up with Glass. They do a similar job, but there's no echo to stop him there. He brings additional smoke utility that the Glass can benefit from, and in a location like Garage, he's really going to help that push onto... for a location like Cash, he's really going to help that push into Garage. We saw them struggle to clear Garage out last time. You know, you work in there with a Monty, and the Glass working in behind. It then forces people to move on the catwalk because they can't necessarily remain stationary, and the Glass can pick them off. So yeah, like you say, they've had a lot of success with Q on the Glass there. So interesting to see whether they recognise that and move towards bringing some more ops to support the Glass.
So looking at their attacks, they have Bren Sophia, which I think is a good pick, especially for this particular bomb site. You have the utility to destroy the castle barricades, which are always going to be present for a bomb site like this, where you need to castle off those Gym and Bedroom castles. And Gym Bedroom, whenever I think of Gym Bedroom, I think of Panari. It's just, what has he done to me, that man? It is terrible.
Definitely.
He's broke me.
I think he's broken many people.
The same whenever I think of Sleben, I always think of that song.
Yep.
I always will.
So moving into round number 4 then, Gym and Bedroom. We've got Vexed.
Stop saying it, I keep thinking about it, I keep singing it in my head. Don't do that, no.
We're going to see Wind and Rain on the attack. No surprise to see the Thermite there. They're going to be keen to get up there with the Thatcher of Harris and get that hot tub wall open. I'm sure, as you quite rightly said, Demo, we can see the single windows have been castled off. Not too much of a surprise there, but the Sphere will make short work of that, I'm sure. But it does potentially open up. They're going to have to be careful of Garage and of CCTV. We can see there's no Vex players in there at the moment. We've got 5 on site. Yeah, all 5 on site. I couldn't quite make out whether Pi was downstairs or not, but not at the minute. How's about that for an early pick from Vex? Feral once again. Is that Feral dying in the first 30 seconds of 3 of 4 rounds so far? That aggression that is so key to Vex is really working against them, and I've got a question. When comes the point, do they say, you know, we have to stop trying for those early peaks, those early pushes that are losing us Feral so early in the round? Vex with a second kill onto Jesus there. Wind and Rain going very well so far, 5 versus 3. This is what we need to see different from Wind and Rain. It's not the first time that they've got themselves a man advantage. What they need to do now is just take a step back. They've got 1:45 remaining. Think about what they're doing. Adjust to allow for that man advantage and start to really take advantage of it.
Yeah, this isn't the best setup for Vex. They still have the Jäger alive, who we know can dish out some real fragging potential. A quick double kill can easily swing it back in your team's favor. They still have double alive with the smoke. The shotgun at that range is extremely detrimental for the attackers. They don't really want to push into that particular operator. Pi as well is going to keep generating these goo mines, which is another good thing that the defenders have going for them. He will instead try and go for a quick rotate out. Will he find one? Yes, he will. A quick snap onto the head of Harris, but in the midst of that, Zach has fell. Dumpling is trying to creep in for his own smoke. Decided to go for the aggressive play. Possibly could have tried instead, because he knows Pi will come back in for the defense, but still so many angles being held by Wind and Rain, and Vex will crumble under the storm. And Wind and Rain looking strong so far, and that's going to be another attack for them. And this is Clubhouse, where every attack win you get, the easier you will have on the defense.
Absolutely, and how about that Vexed being downed by their namesake Vex pretty much there. He came in with a big 4K, including those 2 early kills. Feral in the first 15 seconds, I think, this time. Absolutely no messing about from Vex, and that is what Wind and Rain need. Sometimes you've just got to meet aggression with aggression, and that is what is going to slow down this defensive team of Vex, and maybe just make them think twice about playing that way on attack as well. It just makes them think, Wind and Rain have got a number here. They know what our game's about. We have to try and do something different. And as you rightly said, Demo, when you can force a team out of the comfort zone like that, make them do something different, that's when you start getting results a lot of the time, because then they just don't, it's not as polished, they don't know what they're doing as much. Now, we're going back to Cash and CCTV. It's a site that we saw Vex defend very well previously. We saw them there in round 2. Again, they just held themselves on site better. They didn't have such an aggressive roam game, and I think they did better for it. What I'd like to see different from Wind and Rain, they just fragmented a little bit. They had one man, they had Q on the glass pushing Garage, they opened up double wall and left Thermite on his own up there, and then there were a couple of players trying to play from the single windows of CCTV and construction, and they got punished for it. I'd like to see them just, you know, focus their attack a little bit more. I'd like to see 2 or 3 push into Garage, and just Vex coming out again with that first kill onto Feral. How about that? And that's the dock off the board. That is some big utility potentially. Losing those stim shots again within the first 30 seconds. What is going on here with Vex? He just seems to have Feral's number.
Did he try and spawn peek that window?
Absolutely no idea. I think he did. Yeah, it looks like the gym window. Vex is all over that. I can only imagine that he had a drone watching that. That is exactly what should happen when you try to spawn peek at this level of play.
So they still have players alive for Vex, but really, they haven't shown it. This could be the bomb site that they need to try and get them back on track. Last time they did defend this, really time was the big factor for Vex in their defense. Just Wind and Rain didn't have enough time, and good utility coming in from the Skeleton Key. They know that the bottom is going to be secure. A nice shot from Blackout will find the head on to Jesus, and a 5 versus 3. No miracles today for him. So this is once again just playing out very similar to how the gym and bedroom did play out, and still with Q having those smoke grenades available. Another one for Vex. Zach will be taken out. Pi is in a very awkward position, stuck between a rock and a glass at this stage pretty much. Well, being as Maestro cameras, both of them actually being located inside of the garage as well. But of course that massive breach will mean that he cannot rotate back.
Thermite now just opening up the bottom of Garage as well. They've obviously recognised that Pi is in there. He's going to use his Maestro cam to try and do some damage, but he will lose it in the process. He'll also take shots. It can only be a matter of time, surely, until Pi meets his end here. He's going to keep fighting the good fight. He's really trying to hold them out of Garage. It was, as I said, Q steps in, gets that yellow dot and gets the kill. Dumpling will get aggressive and get the kill onto Blackbeard, but he's 1 versus 4, and he's going to need a miracle at this point. This is not going to be easy. Control of Garage belongs to Wind and Rain. Control of double wall belongs to Wind and Rain. They have got all the positioning and the manpower that they need here. It's just the case of finding exactly where Dumpling is. In comes the nade, so I would suggest that they know where he is now, and it's just a matter of time until he gets pinched. It looks like they're potentially going to move into position and put a plant down. Out comes the smoke that is going to prevent that plant for the time being, but it does tell them exactly where he's located. It looks like they've move position and just going to go for that plant again. Dumpling is going to rotate back around. He's just behind the wall. He cannot get it. Q moves in with an essential kill there to protect his teammate who was down for the plant. If that smoke goes off, it would have disrupted that plant again. Fantastic play from Wind and Rain to do things differently. They didn't play, as I suggested, they didn't play those two men on the single windows this time. They didn't get punished. They pushed the garage in numbers. They pushed the double wall in numbers. They took control of that side of the map and did everything they needed with it, and they've got themselves in the lead here. And this is great plays from Wind and Rain.
I think the term that we used for Vex's playstyle is quotation marks monkey. Quotation marks, I think, is the playstyle that they are certainly playing. Leon, he is also part of that clan where they like to jump out and do the most craziest things, which we've seen him display earlier. And it's not working against a very strict team who has that patience, who has that communication. And once again, the attacks are building up for Wind and Rain. This is a defender-sided map. Basically, Vex are saying, you know what, we're just going to give you these defense. We want to make the attacks harder for ourselves. That's not the mentality you go into on Clubhouse.
Absolutely not. And at this point, if Wind and Rain can pick up a final attack here, let's not forget that they came out and they attacked Church extremely well the first time around in round 1. They attacked it again in round 3, and Vex did pick up the win. So we're looking at a 50-50 win rate here for Vex down in Church and Arsenal. If Wind and Rain can emulate what they did first time around, I think there could be trouble here. We can see some variety in the operators this time. Feral has moved on to the Valkyrie, and I think he's maybe just going to play a little bit more passively this time. He's got himself in garage, and he's just moved upstairs there. We can see him going towards CCTV. So I think he's just going to keep himself away from those windows. Let's not forget that so far Feral has probably played less than a minute cumulatively across the game so far. He really needs to just get himself some time under his belt and give himself a chance to find his feet and to start picking up some frags here, because that is something that Vexed definitely need.
So the drone phase will start to come in, and really for this whoa, Harris finds Feral yet again. I would like to see his opening deaths, because it has been, I think, nearly every round.
It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty.
That's not a good way to start off. And now, once again, you're asking so much of your team. Still, there's 4 people alive, but we've seen that trend. This time, however, Zach will square off into a 4 versus 4. Harris will be eliminated. That's the Thatcher gone.
That's the Thatcher gone, but that's not going to have too much impact. Let's not forget that Kaid is not available for pick in competitive play yet, so there's no availability for them to electrify the Hatchers or defend them in any way. So the Thatcher is still going to be able to go in and get his choice of 2 Hatchers, but as we said last time, no Hibana, so it is going to limit which Hatchers they can get. They have sort of flitted between bringing a Hibana and not, so I'm surprised to see that they haven't done this time. Now, we've got a little bit of a turtle defense forming here from Vexed. It would appear they certainly don't want to lose any more until they get at least to within that final minute. I think they just need, and it's unusual to say this about Vexed, they just need to slow things down a little bit because they are getting punished on the aggressive play. We've got Hayes on the Monty. This is something that we commented on, potentially getting him in there in support of Q. He's moving in through dirt. He's now going to be feeding that information back in. Zach with a great kill onto Vex. That's somebody who's been popping off the last few rounds, so he's going to be a great player for them to get off the board. Moving into the final minute, how much damage can be done from this dirt tunnel?
You see the smoke playing up close and personal, and a Toxic Bee will be expanded along with an impact nade, but however, Monty stands tall against the utility being expanded by Vexed. Blackout will start to rotate in towards blue, just cautious of somebody who may be lurking, and well, Zach, he will be lurking, but at the bottom of the corridor, has the very tight angle, sees the body, will whiff the shots, also Thermite misses him as well, but it just slows down the round even more. Monty still being held at bay by those Toxic Babes. Jesus from above will try and support Zach, but he doesn't need any support as they both push in. Zach an extremely low HP. Dumpling will do the job onto the Montagne, and Q will be the last man alive. Andy, can you do it? No, you can't, because you're a smoke and a 1 versus 4 pushing through one door.
Q left in a difficult situation there. He had the powerful operator of Glaz, but when you're 1 versus 4, he's just snatching at shots. He's seeing multiple bodies there. Very, very difficult for him. Just a shame, really, that Wind and Rain didn't manage to make that Monty Glaz combo pay anymore. But as you said, Demo, coming out of your attacking phase on Clubhouse 3-all, if you'd offered that to Wind and Rain before going into it, I'm certain that they would have taken it without playing there. So great early plays from them. We're going to see, interestingly, the Caveira pick coming out again. We saw that from Vexed in the first round of their defence as well, but unsurprisingly we will see the 6th pick off Caveira and onto Clash. Now Clash, for a Church Arsenal objective, can be very effective, so long as the player knows what they're doing. You can pretty much hold off a dirt tunnel push. Not too much of a surprise to see a Clash brought against Vexed, because as you commented, we see so many early rushes from Vexed. If Wind and Rain can recognise where that push is going to come from, they can get the Clash out there. Personally, I'd be putting Clash towards blue initially, because that is pretty much the only place you can make a really quick rush from, within the first 10-15 seconds of the round. To get, if you have to come through dirt, you're going to be breaching, what that's the push coming from, so then Clash can rotate there. So I think blue is the immediate threat, and it will just slow down and stall any push there. We'll see if that happens.
Yeah, Wind and Rain has seen this episode of Vexed. I think they know exactly what strategy is going to come out, and well, Vex, looking at it, they have free speeds along with the main support cast as well. They don't have any operators that is well suited for dealing with the Clash. They don't have Sophia. They don't have any frags as well on the board. All they have is a couple bolts, but really that's not very effective, because as soon as Clash sees that crossbow get pulled out, she just backs on up and lets the firebolt go. So yeah, Vex aren't really suited with that Clash. I think that's a very well an educated pick for Wind and Rain, and certainly that's going to slow them down. We still have not had the changes of Clash just yet. They're going to go live on Tuesday as well. We'll see that SMG go full auto, which should help her just a little bit, but still, I think she is still very weak. But for these situations, whenever you know your matchup, they're still going to be strong.
Yeah, I think Clash has just got a very specific use at the minute, and like you said, I think they maybe just want to broaden that a little bit to make it useful in more situations, so that that'll just increase the pick rate a little bit. But, we've seen so far not too much of a rush from Vex. They've got in, they've taken some control over top floors and are able to start opening those hatches. We're down to 2 minutes, so they've still got plenty of time in the round. They're going to be opening up that kitchen floor as well, trying to get angles into sight, and that is what is going to be an absolute headache for Clash. The more angles get opened up, the more her back gets exposed, the more difficult it is for her to find those safe locations where she can just play and halt a push. But that's going to be down to Hayes to see just exactly how he can position himself and make the most of that shield now. As it is, it looks like we've got 3 on main stairs. If Vex can just play a second angle here and start pushing from somewhere else and get the pinch, it looks like we've got Hibana upstairs is just going to be working those hatches as well. That could spell trouble for Wind and Rain.
Dublin tried to go and thermite the armory wall rather than the church. That's such a risky play on the side of Vex. Thankfully, the cover is there. Jesus will find one on the Q, and that's a massive kill because that's smoke off the board. Surely this is where they try again as well. Zach will find Harris, and they're going to try and rush B, which is a strat that they are well known for. In they come, 50 seconds to go. 2 of them, 3 of them pile in. Pie with one on to Vex. Feral try and hunt away with the Para. Dumpling also holding angles while the diffuser gets planted. Down to the Clash and down to the Legion. Clash will find one, but Feral will also find the Legion. A Clash inside of a 1 versus 3. The shield is going to be no use to her now. It has to go down to the SMG. Let's see what she can do. 1 on the Dumpling. Diffuser has been planted, but you're still going up against 2 full health free speeds with great guns to go with it. She's trying to rotate in, but she will get tagged from above. And an easy clean-up round from Vexed, as they will take that attacking round for a change.
Good attacking round from Vex there, just pushing into B very aggressively. I think the key there was that kill onto Dumpling not getting finished off. I think if the Thermite gets taken off the board, maybe things go a little bit differently there. They can't push into B in such numbers, or at least not as easily and quickly. They have to start moving Jesus as Ibana downstairs, so then they don't have the cover from upstairs, and maybe things just go a little bit differently if that kill on Dumpling goes through. But, you know, that Siege, it can be absolute millimetres difference between winning and losing. So we're seeing an unusual trend for attacker wins on Clubhouse so far. Wind and Rain, you know, I think they could do with getting the first defensive win under the belt now. I think if they'd have come out and taken that first round, it would have been a big thing for them in terms of momentum. That said, Vexed have now won back-to-back rounds. We haven't seen anybody yet win more than 2 rounds in a row. If that trend continues, we will see Wind and Rain even things up here, upstairs in Cash and CCTV. And then, I mean, this match is anybody's at this point.
And just coming back with that unusual trend where attackers are now winning on a defender-sided map, I still think that plays back into the bans. We have seen matches where Thermite's been banned, for example. That significantly weakens the attack, and that's why we see the defenders just succumb so many rounds after rounds, because there's no hard breach, only the Hibana being available. Typically, Maverick will be the other attacker as well. If you're trying to attack Clubhouse on the attacks with only Hibana, that is so difficult. You basically go from hard mode to extreme real quick.
Absolutely. So round number 8 then. We've got an interesting lineup from Vex. They're not choosing to bring the glass, which was used to such good effect from Wind and Rain. I'm just looking across the board and I'm not sure exactly how they deal with the catwalk of Garage here. They do have the Capitao of Feral, but much the same as Demo said previously for Clash dealing with the Capitao. Once that bolt comes in, he just needs to move to another location on that catwalk, and I think, you know, clearing Garage out could be quite difficult here. It looks like Dumpling is going to be going to open up that wall. Vex is going to be playing for the bandit tricks on the double wall, and in comes the Capitao bolt that's just going to stop him being able to do that. The Thatcher grenade will just allow now all that utility being expended at the same time to stop the bandit trick of Vex, and he's going to rotate out downstairs, and he could then possibly move into lower Garage if needs be. It just gives him that flexibility, but we've got the double wall open now, so what are Vex going to do with this control?
They still have a bit of hard breach in the form of the Ash charges. They can, or not hard breach, soft breach, should I say, and they can try and open up these angles from below. Zach is trying to play these angles. That wall's opened up by the Maestro. He will win that gunfight against Q. That's a massive kill onto the smoke. Every kill you can get onto a smoke is huge for the most part. Zach knows somebody's going to be lurking right beside him as he dances around the cabinets, and he will catch his by surprise. Yet again, another defender off the board, all thanks to the Ash. We're down to a 3 versus 5, and here comes the soft breach. He was thinking about it, but decides to hold back. Those Legion mines, I'm sure, are still scattered about on that back stairs, but Zach holding patience, just waiting for the callouts. Blackout in such a rough position, cannot rotate anywhere as all the angles are being held. Vex will find one, will find 2 as it goes into a 3 versus 3, but Zach will try and challenge in towards the catwalk with 50 seconds to go. Here comes the aggress from Zach, but he will be shot down straight away, and somehow it's in a 1 versus 3, and it's all down to Thermite.
Vex, not really sure how that's fallen apart. They had Zach downstairs on the Ash, did some fantastic work, but Vex was very, very patient. I'm going to give him the benefit there to say that he could have rushed down to try and support his teammate to clear out the Ash of Zach, but he chose not to do that. He kept himself on Cash stairs, and he just waited for his moment. Aggression is important in Siege, but well-timed aggression is even more important than that. So Vex moving in and getting that final kill onto Dumpling to finish things off there. So we saw him playing those Cash, the CCTV stairs, and he just waited for his moment, and then downstairs, bang, got a double kill, and that brought it to 3-all, and then all of a sudden that momentum just shifted, and the man count went in favour of Wind and Rain, and then they just turtled up, did exactly what they needed to do, and Vex picking up the last man. Thermite had not much of an option but to rush into the breach there. So great round from Wind and Rain, again breaks that trend. We've not seen more than 2 rounds, 1 on the bounce. The momentum is shifting backwards and forwards here, and I just sort of feel like if any team can string that 3rd consecutive round, if Wind and Rain could do it and get another 2, get themselves onto match point, guarantee the draw, I think that's probably what's going to win the match for somebody.
Well, if we look at it, whenever we seen the first half, it went to 3-all. This could be the same trend. We could be on the verge of a draw very shortly. It's still going to be first to 7, but of course we do have ties in this format, so if it goes to 6-5, and then the team who are on 5 go to 6, that will be it. That's the game over. You only have a maximum of 12 rounds, and I really think that's the big difference. I know that you touched upon it earlier, is we have seen matches, looking and talking about the Pro League, we've seen matches go 5-5 and a team has got those quick 2 rounds on the bounce. We never really had that last season in Prem. I think we had quite a lot of draws for the most part.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was looking through last season's results earlier this week, and there was a lot of teams sitting on 3 and 4 draws, which out of 7 results, you know, is more than a 50% draw rate. It's an awful lot. So yeah, I think those extra 2 rounds are just seeing us get more decisive results rather than the draws. But as you say, it really would not surprise me to see a draw, and I can't at this point say it would be an unfair result. I think, you know, this is a perfect example of a match whereby I can see the value in draws existing. Does either team at this stage deserve to lose everything? I think, you know, we could argue they both deserve something out of this, but that might not be the case. Wind and Rain coming into round number 9 on the defence. We're going to see them downstairs in Church and Arsenal, and are we going to see the same push from Vex? Go downstairs, try and get into B quickly and in numbers, and then just defend the plant? I'm not too sure we are. We can see that we've got Pi already moving quickly into Garage. They are definitely moving quickly. Feral already in stock, waiting for Dumpling to come in. They are definitely getting into position quickly. Jesus opening that kitchen hatch. There's no challenge upstairs. This is the one thing that I've felt missing from the Wind and Rain defence so far. We saw it in the last one where Zach managed to get 2 kills from downstairs on the Ash. There was just the challenge of Legion, 1 person on the roam, and I just think they're suffering a little bit from allowing Vexed to largely, for 70–80% of the round, do what they want unchecked.
A bomb has been located.
They do lack the form of a buck or a sledge, but I'm happy to see that Pi has chosen those breaching charges for that specific reason. It opens up a majority of that entirety of the kitchen. It means that you can't have anybody playing in the back there. No pulses, no Valkyrie. And still, Wind and Rain not bringing any pulse either. I still think that pulse is so strong on this bomb site. It is a bit of a misplay not to pick him. Feral with the first blood on the round for a change as Harris, he will fall. Vex straight away with a refrag onto Feral. IQ off the board. Minute to go. 4 versus 4. The drones will start to come in, and I'm sure the final beachhead will also come in soon after that. Zach trying to get a little bit frisky there on the doorway, but he says no to that. With 45 seconds thereabouts left on the board, this is going to be a big task for Vexed.
Yeah, very difficult now. They've lost a couple of crucial operators there, potentially Feral, with the ability to spot out those goo mines and clear them. They do still have the EMPs of the Thatcher if they can get him down there, but Hayes will take out the Thatcher. Sorry, Hayes gets the kill onto Dumpling, and Vex finishes off Thatcher in blue there. That leaves Jesus with it all to do in a 1 versus 4. All Wind and Rain need to do now is camp on the site. They know where the diffuser is. Jesus moves in and gets the first kill in blue. Now all he needs to do is try and split these up into 1v1s. He knew somebody was there. I think when he just couldn't get the angle onto him, he didn't think that he'd be behind the wall. Q playing it perfectly, not challenging until the shots had fired, and then just move round, finish things off, and that is very, very good for Wind and Rain here. 1 more and they guarantee themselves the draw, and that could be a big mental hurdle for them. You know, this is a team that are really ambitious and they're wanting to do big things, so getting the first win in that Group B as well, you know, where there's a potential definitely for surprises and upsets. So if they can come out of this strong with a 3 points, put themselves above Vexed early on, that is a huge shout for playoffs already.
So we move in to the 3rd bomb site for the players of Wind and Rain. They will go for the gym and bedroom. Let's see how they will adapt with their defensive lineup. And a big thing that they're missing is the castle not being there. We've seen that castle barricades are a big part inside of this map. It completely shuts down those windows towards the south side. It allows your bandit to have a safer, just an it's not entirely safe because you can still get rid of everything there, but it just allows more utility having to be used by the attacker, which is always going to be a good thing. It means that the final push coming in from the anchors, it gives them a little bit more safe way. They don't have to worry about things like a Sophia charge hitting them in the face, or frag grenades being tossed out, or flashes. So I'm quite curious to see how they're going to play this. They have opted for the Mute and the Bandit, which is it's a very European thing to do. I've picked up is bringing both of them. I think it's more so Bandit because it's a good gun as well, along with a C4. Mute has really risen in his playtesting because he does now have that SMG-11, so it does allow him to more freely run about with that shotgun, which, you know, is one of the best shotguns in the game. We've seen the stuff that Smoke can do. Equally, Mute can do the same, and plus he pretty much has a C4 as well. So he's like the old Smoke. Whenever Smoke used to have the C4, and that's like way back. Way back.
So round number 10, and we're going to see a quick move from Vexed here to head towards the hot tub wall. Thermite getting straight up there. The Thatcher grenade has already been dropped, and I think he should be able to open that up. There's no Bandit or Mute playing behind there. Just too dangerous a location, really. You're so open for fire from that gym window. So what can they do with this angle now that they've got it opened up? We can see the smoke of Q in bedroom there, I believe. And oh, Vex just whipping his shots there and missing the head. It was always going to be a tough one. He was firing through a single bullet hole, but he will manage to get the kill as Jesus tries to sort of challenge that angle in return. Harris getting a kill onto Zach, and that's going to leave us 5 versus 3. Wind and Rain really finding the legs here, and I'm liking what I see. Very, very impressive so far, very clinical, and they are really starting to put Vex to the sword here.
A storm is brewing, and it's Wind and Rain at the helm of it. They want this win. They want this Premiership. We said this was their redemption season, and they are certainly proving that. Feral, however, will refrag the first frag for Vex this round onto the Mute, but once again that peek comes in. That's going to be a trade as Pi was covering but didn't cover well enough as Feral loses his gunfight. Pi comes in with the quick jump in, but the amount of feet holes being made by Wind and Rain will put an end to him. And once again, just like most of the rounds, it's down to Dumpling, the pride of Scotland. What can he do? Will he jump through the windows? He's just peeking back and forth. Wind and Rain know they have this pretty much in the bag. They will at least secure themselves a point, if not going to get all 3 points. Dumpling jumps in, he does find one for himself, but that was all he gets. Is Andy. Andy's coming, manages to find himself that final kill, and that puts Wind and Rain 6 rounds to 4.
Wind and Rain certainly have the wind in their sails at this point. That's the first time that they've managed to get 2 rounds back to back. Puts them on to match point, and they're going to get 2 bites at the cherry here. And I tell you what, I wouldn't put money against them at this stage. They've now just defended the difficult third site of gym and bedroom. The hot tub wall was open very quickly. They dealt with that excellently. I think the key factor there was Vex. Look at that, 15 and 4. The man is playing out of his skin at the minute. He got himself wedged into CCTV. He just got 2 great kills from there. There was just no real effort to deal with him for a long time. He was just able to hassle that flank continuously. I think more attention needed to be paid more quickly to him to just clear that out so that you can then play on that gym window without that fear of CCTV window. But Vexed paid the price, and it could be the ultimate price at the end of this round. We're going to see CCTV around. I don't think that this was necessarily Wind and Rain's strongest objective that they defended to date. They did well, but they had to come back from sort of man disadvantage. The wall got open very quickly, and I think that they were 5 versus 3 at one point, and they had to bring it back to 3-3. And then it was, I think, the double kill from Vex coming down CCTV stairs that did that for them. So I'm not sure about the site choice, but let's see if they can finish it off.
Yeah, I think that's a very common thing to happen, especially for this bomb site, where it is very small. It can fit in a very small area. You have different positions. There's a lot of different positions you can play. You can play on stairs, you can play behind bomb on A, you can play aggressive on A doorway. Small little nooks and crannies in that room that you can hide away in. It's very easy to try and recuperate your numbers, especially whenever it's a team like Vex to play aggressive and will pretty much give you those free kills if you land your shots, which Vex, he has been doing. Maybe Vex should join Vexed. Vex squared.
Vexed doing extremely well so far, and I think if they can get in there, they know he's going to be playing.
You could say extremely well.
Extremely well, I like.
Oh no, I'm going to get killed by Twitch chat on that
Yeah,
one.
I think
oh,
probably.
No.
Let's be honest, you get killed in Twitch chat for something, so you might as well give them something to go at. Vex again with a first kill onto Zach. They have to do something about this bandit. If they don't, they're going to lose this match. He is definitely the man in form at the minute, and there is absolutely nothing that they seem to be able to do to stop him. That's the Ash off the board. Zach played fantastically well on this attack last time from downstairs. Hayes moves in, gets the kill onto Feral, gets a second onto Dumpling, and that's that roam game that I've been looking for. As I said, Wind and Rain not playing too heavily on the roam. They've got the roam in dock this time. Harris with a kill onto Pi. That's going to leave us 1 versus 5. Jesus gets the first. He's still got it all to do. We're going to need a miracle from Jesus here as he's in the 1 versus 4. He knows that there's somebody just inside a garage. He's waiting for that aggressive run out. I don't think it's going to come. He's down to 15 health. 1 bullet from the right operator is going to finish things for him. They know that the diffuser's down. He will get the second though. That's the kill onto Q. He still has to get that diffuser, and if they know where that is, it's going to be watched. I don't think they do, so he manages to get the pickup. There must have been a call out, but Hayes just waits patiently for him to move into his crosshairs, gets that final kill, and how about that? There's always an upset in week number 1, and Wind and Rain, I think, have just provided.
Jesus tried his best. We've seen him do miracles in the past, but the storm was too strong for him, as Wind and Rain take a very strong win against Vexed.
Absolutely fantastic.
And we spoke about it as well, even before the match started with Wind and Rain. If they want to make an impact, not just redemption, but an impact to begin with, it had to be this match. And I really think they have proven themselves straight off the bat.
Yeah, I think that they still have things that they can work on. Of course, I think we can say that about every team, really. But, of course, they played a lot better than Vexed. Vexed, it was an interesting game from them. They, of course, play that also aggressive play style where they go for the jump outs, to go for these aggressive plays, but they shouldn't be doing it on a map like Clubhouse. We talked about that how strong Wind and Rain can be on those defenses in Clubhouse. There's your example.
And even in some of the rounds as well, it was quite weak for them to begin with, but when they started to play passive, or a lot more passive on the defensive side, especially on round 6, we started to see them play a little bit better. I mean, even when on the attacking side on B, like you said before, they're known for that. But they still didn't really, not just expect it, but couldn't actually stop it. But Wind and Rain were just a force to be reckoned with here, especially towards the end.
Yeah, I think Vex, to be honest, must have felt like they were banging their heads against the wall. They did try to mix things up. They did try to do different things, as we know Vex do. You know, they're one of them teams. They do play on the fly, and they're unpredictable. But Wind and Rain just seem to have an answer at every corner this time. And great organisation from them. I don't think necessarily Vexed are going to be the biggest challenge that they will come up against, full stop. I think that is a massive win for them in terms of Group B. I think if they can beat Vexed, I would expect that they can turn a result against Unnamed and the other team in there. So, yeah, great start for Wind and Rain. As they start coming up against the more organised teams, M&M, potentially playoffs, Secret, teams like that, that's when we're going to see the real challenge for Wind and Rain when they're playing against that organisation. And
even with Vex, I think eventually at the end of that match, he must have went 16 or 17 and 4/5, something like that, at least a 3 KD. It's just ridiculous stuff, especially from that man.
Yeah, there's a lot of kills coming in from Vex. You can see the aggressiveness, and that comes back to your self-confidence with your gun skill. It really shines through, and whenever you have somebody stepping up in their game, putting in so many kills, it just falls into place. Whenever he started getting kills, everybody else just followed, and that's the team morale, the team communication that we know Wind and Rain have. They have been together for quite a bit now, you know, in terms of teams. They're getting there. They're right up there. They're still taking part in other competitions like the Challenger League, but primarily Prem is a big part that they really want to go for.
And it didn't seem to be the case. Of course, even though they lost this first match, there's still plenty of time. It's only the first week. Yeah. But even with Wind and Rain, it's the perfect first week. They couldn't ask for more in this stage.
Absolutely not. It's, you know, what a dream start for Wind and Rain. I think coming into that, if you'd offered them a draw, I know some of the Wind and Rain boys. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not so sure. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, say you come out with a draw against Vex, yeah, that's a decent start. Coming out with a win, absolutely perfect. That really puts them in a prime position there.
That's right, of course. And